Alright, today we're going to continue talking about our topic of nitrogen, and we want to look a little bit at sources of nitrogen. Where do we get nitrogen? How do we deal with sources of nitrogen that maybe are not thought of when you think of commercial, such as organic matter? Organic matter is really a pretty consistent source of nitrogen that many farmers ignore. Some farmers consider it their fudge factor. It's an added insurance. Here in Iowa, you're looking at anywhere from 20 to 30 to upwards of 60 pounds of nitrogen per year that's being released by the organic matter. And so it can be a real source of significant amounts of nitrogen, and it's one reason why when farmers look at cutting back on nitrogen inputs, sometimes they report that, I can cut back 20 pounds an acre and I don't see a large drop in the amount of yield I get. And it's simply because they've been over applying nitrogen, and when they cut back on commercial input, they find out that the organic nitrogen released from organic matter fills that input in. Another source of nitrogen is also alfalfa. It's well known that the first year after you take an alfalfa stand out, you can expect to have 200 pounds of nitrogen available for a crop, essentially meaning that no nitrogen is needed aside from possibly 5 or 10 pounds as a starter if you desire. That's debatable if it's needed, but you can basically get by without any nitrogen the first year after planting an alfalfa crop. A lesser known source of nitrogen is the second year after alfalfa. You get another 50 pounds of nitrogen being released from those roots. Keep in mind these roots don't break down very easily, and so you're going to find that even year 2 after alfalfa has been planted, 50 pounds is available for your crop. So year 2 after alfalfa is the equivalent of having soybeans the previous year. And so when you think about it, after alfalfa you get 2 years worth of nitrogen credited towards the next crops. Now this of course is assuming that you didn't leave the alfalfa in the field until there was nothing left. It assumes that you have a decent stand of that alfalfa. Soybeans are also another source of nitrogen. Traditionally here in Iowa, we just simply say 50 pounds. Iowa State has said it's just easiest to say you get a 50-pound credit. Some will talk about looking at number of bushels, each bushel equaling 1 pound. However, it seems that if you just assume a standard 50, you get basically the same net result as far as efficiency and use of the crop in the next year. Manure is also a source of nitrogen. Everyone knows you spread manure, that first year you get nitrogen credits. There's also a second year nitrogen credit. Any manure we apply, there is a certain amount of that organic matter that is resistant to decay, and so it's going to take a year to break down. Therefore, when you're looking at manure, keep in mind that even 2 years after you apply it, you still do get about a 25% of the first year's bump as far as nutrients being released from that manure.